Hey friends, David Paulides, CanAm Missing Project, a copyrighted edition for our video channel. And you are here for a missing person segment. And yes, this segment involves truckers. Missing 411 truckers. What's the title of a new book that could be coming? Yeah, friends, we've been slowly walking down this road and we've been covering some interesting space in an area that's never been covered before from anyone that I can ever find. And I think it's important that you remember what we've covered in the past few episodes. Number one, all the people we've talked about, loss of memory. Now, some of you may say, well, they faked it. Okay, so a bunch of truckers just decided to get together, and people related to the trucking industry just decided to get together and fake it all. Doesn't sound too viable. Missing time. There's time out of these lives that people can't account for. And if that was your time that was lost, I think you'd want to know what happened. Some people don't, though. Most of the time in these stories, there's an abandoned vehicle, an abandoned truck. They don't know where they parked it. They didn't know the circumstances of it. They can't remember leaving the truck. It's kind of a profile that you have to think about. And they left property in the trucks a majority of the time. That's how later they were identified. So that's an interesting part of this. They left the property behind, their wallet, their ID, whatever. I think that's fascinating. If they truly didn't want people to find out who they were, then I don't think they'd be leaving that behind. Now, the profile of these individuals, very reliable, very trustworthy, most longtime workers. They weren't homeless, they weren't drunks, they weren't drug addicts. Same profile as a typical missing 411 person. Here's where it gets a little different. Now in 411, we've had a lot of different ethnicities. Asians, blacks, whites, Hispanics. And even for the small numbers of these disappearances, we have a variety of ethnicities. We have Indian, white, and probably another type of Asian. And the ironic part is that some of these people return and some of them don't. And why is it that some do and some don't? I've heard some people say, well, some people fight it. Some people go along with it. The people that go along with it are returned. Okay, that could be. In general, these people live pretty mundane lives. There's nothing outlandish about them. Just good homebred folks. Most of them raising kids. And what I've noticed lately is the dates. I want you today to pay attention of the dates. Do that for me? And let's start off. The first case involves a man named John Bliler, 48 years old, went missing November 29th, 1995. And he was from Wheatland, Iowa. It's kind of just north of Davenport. His occupation was he was a truck driver for J.B. Hunt for their division out of Chicago. Bliler had a wife, very close with, talked to each other every day. He last spoke to his wife on November 27th and said he was going to have to wait out a storm before he picked up a load in Webster City. He was a very trustworthy driver, didn't take chances with his load. When he called his wife, he also called J.B. Hunt and said he was going to be delayed because there was bad weather. Now, this is one of the few times where I've heard about a disappearance related to weather, just like a 411 case. Well, again, Bliler called his wife daily. He stopped calling her right after that. And a couple days later, his wife reported him as missing. That's how sure she was something was wrong. He always called every day, no matter what. 2 days without a call, she couldn't get a hold of him. She knew something was wrong, reported him missing. Well, when she reported him missing, she also reported the truck missing. He was attached to it. And the truck was found at a truck stop, travel center kind of thing, in Altoona, Iowa, just off Interstate 80 on November 30th, a few days after he was reported missing. Now, news broadcasts blew his face and his truck all across the Midwest. Everyone was looking for him. Pretty unusual that, a $100,000 truck could be left behind and the driver's gone and his wife doesn't know where he's at. Well, as these news broadcasts are going out, Des Moines General Hospital saw one of the broadcasts and people inside and stated, "Hey, we have that guy in our hospital." Well, at about that time, the police said that they were searching the truck and all of Bliler's property was in that truck. The doors were unlocked, engine running. Police went to Des Moines Hospital, interviewed him. Couldn't remember his name, couldn't remember his wife's name. Couldn't remember being in his truck, couldn't remember leaving the truck, couldn't remember he was a truck driver. Now remember the profile points we said. These people they all have a great respect for their job and their load. And they take great responsibility in making sure that load gets there safely. The idea that they would leave the truck running at a truck stop with the doors unlocked is insane. It's just not going to happen. Now, I'm sure, and people don't have to drive this point home to me, I'm not an idiot. There are those people out there that are truck drivers that, are not trustworthy. Maybe they are on the job a week and they haven't proven themselves. But the people I'm talking about here are different. Different in the sense that very reliable, very trustworthy. So get those other ideas out of your head. Now, Bliler, when he was interviewed by the police, made the following statement. He said, "The only thing I remember is a light feeling, like a light up above, like overhead lights, like from a fuel island type lights." Quote, "After that, about the only thing I can remember is walking into the truck stop. And according to everyone I spoke to, it wasn't the same truck stop that I left my truck." Well, left his truck in Altoona and he's found in Des Moines. While he's in the hospital, the doctors can't figure out what's wrong with him. So he'd been in Des Moines Hospital since December 1st at about 4 a.m. Bliler made a public statement asking if anyone had seen him in the previous week to come forward because he wanted to know where he was. Now, the distance from where his truck was to where he was found was 10 miles. How did he get across those 10 miles? Did he get a ride? Was he dropped in? Again, truck running, doors unlocked, personal property inside, nothing disturbed inside. Truck is in the condition that he left it. Now, if I told you about just this case the way it is right here, you wouldn't think much of it. Just the way it is. And just like many other serial events, like serial killers, if you found a murder and all these profile points were in a murder scene, you'd think, okay, that's a murder. But if I strung together 5 or 6 or 7 other cases that had similar elements, you'd say, Dave, maybe you found a serial killer. Well, it's kind of where my mind goes. Because in the Missing 411 cases, it's the first book I ever wrote for Missing 411. Missing 411 Eastern US. Please do not buy this on Amazon. You'll get ripped off. All my books are there on Amazon. They're put there by resellers. They'll sell for double, triple, quadruple the price. Get them from our website NA like North America, NABigfootsearch.com. You can also follow me on Twitter, or X as it's now called, David Paulides at CanAm Missing. So you think about John Bliler. His wife comes out and gets him and takes him home. None of these cases really talk about the recovery rate from this, which would be interesting. Does he wake up and does he have that epiphany day where it's all over and he's back to health? I don't know. Because the news isn't interested in that. And this happened in 1995. John was 48 years old at that point. He's probably pushing 73, 74 now. I don't know if you'd remember, but it'd be interesting. The next case involves also an Iowa case. I told you there were 2 Iowa cases here. Robert Grilliott, 40 years old. Missing November 28th, 1994. Oh, whoa, Dave, whoa. The case you just talked about, John Bliler. That was November 29th, 1995. Now we're talking a year and 1 day earlier. Robert Grilliott. Robert was a Vietnam veteran. He was an orphan and he was raised in Louisiana. At the present time, he lived in Chicago. And he was a truck driver for DTI Corporation in South Dakota. And at the time of the incident, he was carrying aluminum in his semi. Now, the semi disappeared on November 28th, 1994. And late on that day, November 28th, Robert walks into a Davenport, Iowa hospital saying he could not remember anything and he needed help. Okay. December 2nd. So we're talking 4 days later. Police find Robert's truck parked at the Flying J truck stop along Interstate 80 in Davenport. And the truck was spotted there by another DTI employee who knew that they had a truck missing. Well, Grilliott was interviewed by police. And the police said that he had some interesting Cajun French sayings that he would sometimes say. But he still didn't know who he was, where he was from. They eventually find his ID in the truck. And they find his girlfriend's phone number, and she's interviewed. She lives in Chicago. She said that they've been dating for about 4 years. Said that he was a very attentive boyfriend. He was on the road a lot working. He was a workaholic. And when Robert was put on the phone, he didn't recognize her voice. Police went on to interview Robert even more. They wanted to understand what happened from the time he left his truck or from the time he last remembered. He said he doesn't ever remember driving a truck, so he couldn't help him. He did say he remembers the first memory he had was in downtown Davenport, Iowa. He says it was cold, was late at night, and there was a heater vent coming out of the side of an old building. He said he was tired, and he laid under the heater vent to get warm and he fell asleep. He says he woke up the next morning and he started to walk around. And he said he first went to the Davenport Medical Center because the right side of his head hurt. And then he asked if they'd call the police, which they did. And after that, he spent 2 days in a homeless shelter getting more medical evaluation tests. The police said that they weren't sure what happened. They didn't think Robert was lying. And the medical tests came back very interesting. It said that they showed that there was an irregular brain pattern in the area associated with memory. Now that's fascinating. And the director of the homeless shelter said that he had gone through a battery of tests at the shelter with doctors and at the hospital. To me, I don't see anybody in these cases really calling out the drivers for lying or being evasive or not being transparent in their thoughts. And I find the trucking companies being overly patient in trying to deal with this. Now, once they found Robert's truck, DTI sent out another employee to get it and drive it back. And Robert left Davenport and checked into a Chicago hospital for more treatment. The company stated that they'll keep an eye on him as an employee and they hope that his memory gets jogged back. I call that being real patient as an employer. I find it a bit interesting that we have 3 recent cases since '95 of missing truckers in Iowa. We may have a lot more, and I'm going to find those if I can, but for sure at least 3. And one very recent case that we'll talk about in the future. Why Iowa? What is it about Iowa? Well, when I start to think about these cases, now you may think, wow, Paulides is losing his mind. It almost reminds me of a controlled study of human behavior. Follow me on this. Let's pretend that you wipe a person's memory clean. You put them in the middle of somewhere, and you see how they handle it. Sort of like a missing person. Let's put them in the middle of a wilderness zone with nobody around and see if they can figure their way out. But in this one, we're going to put them in the middle of an urban maze, a downtown setting that they don't recognize. And let's see how long it takes them to find their way out or to get assistance. Almost like a rat in a maze. Think about that. Now, Robert, it's actually a picture of Robert. His girlfriend said that he always wore tinted glasses like this. Always had a beard, long hair, a very attentive boyfriend. Now this is Davenport right here. He was from Chicago over here. Actually not that far of a distance. We talked about Des Moines today. Here's Des Moines over here. And then on the other map for Bliler, Des Moines way over here, kind of at the Four Corners area. Now somebody the other day sent me an email and they said, well, Dave, what's the importance of missing truckers, you know? They're just a labor force. don't have any advanced education. What's the need to even look at this? So I read the email, and then I walked away for a number of minutes, and I said, should I even respond to this? We're the idiots here who don't understand why truckers are getting taken or going missing. We are the ones who aren't smart enough to figure it out because there is some reason here. Now, truckers are known as people who can sit in one place all day long. That is not me. I thank goodness that there's truckers like you out there that are doing that job because I couldn't do it. Now, every once in a while, once, twice a year, I take a long road trip. I get that. I actually enjoy it. But to do it every day like you and you do it, I admire that. That really takes focus and stamina because you drive tens of thousands of miles every year and you don't get in an accident. Because if you got in accidents, you wouldn't have that job. So it takes focus. I understand that. And I've gotten some really nice messages from truckers saying, hey, Dave, thanks for putting in a good word for us. No, I could put good words in for you guys every day, and ladies. And there's a lot of lady teams out there and husband-wife teams that drive nonstop. So I understand that as well. But I'm going to keep hammering these points home. And I really want you guys and ladies out there to think outside the box about what is really going on. And with a couple more episodes left, maybe, we're going to focus on down to what I believe is happening here. And again, you may not believe what I think, and that's okay. But I'm going to put together some facts and some stories that we found that really clarify what's happening here. Now, we also know that this is still happening today. Even though we've got cases that are quite old, it's still going on today. So this hasn't ended. So whatever the purpose is, whatever that is, they still don't have enough. Whatever that may mean. So, I'm going to ask you, if you find this series of missing truckers interesting, please share it on your social media. It's something really different. And if you don't share it, and people don't know that I'm the one that initiated this, everybody else out there is going to take credit. Oh yeah, I found out the first missing trucker case. I'm the one who put it on YouTube. It's so frustrating. Today, just a few hours ago, somebody pointed me that there's somebody who posted my movies on their YouTube channel to get money off of my movies. And I'm not even making money on my movies right now because I'm still looking for another distributor. That's right, folks. If you see my movie out there online, please send me an email to canammissing@yahoo.com, like Canadian American, canammissing@yahoo.com, and I'll put down a takedown notice of the movie. But I think that's the ultimate stab in the back, that somebody puts our video, my movie, on their channel and makes money off of it and laughs at me. It's happening right now. So really the only way I'm making money off my movies right now is selling DVDs. You can buy a DVD from me, NA Bigfoot search, like North America, NABigfootsearch.com. Go to our online store. I'll sign a poster for you. Yeah, it's been a rough 8 months, and there is no relief in sight really, except me just selling my books, my DVDs. So I got to thank you for that. I'm very, very grateful that you are here, and the Christmas season is here, And you would do us a great favor if you bought some books for some of your family members as gifts, or bought DVDs, or bought them a poster. Assign the poster to whoever you want. So, be kind to people out there. Please be kind. It doesn't cost you anything to be kind. We need more kindness in the world. Thank you for being here. Paulides out.